One thing I found really interesting after watching a lot of videos about Japanese homes is they don't actually clean that much, but their homes are almost always tidy and clean, even when the space is small and life is busy. Meanwhile, I keep cleaning, and my place still gets messy. Every weekend I tell myself, next week will be different, but somehow it never is. So I started wondering, what if the way I live day to day is what's making my home so easy to get messy in the first place? And that's exactly what I realized. After watching and trying out some Japanese living habits, I noticed they don't clean as much as I thought. They simply live in a way that makes their homes harder to mess up. So today, I want to share 11 of those habits with you, the ones I feel actually work for a busy lifestyle. Stay with me until the end, so you can pick out the habits that fit you best. Let's get started. The first habit I want to share starts at a really ordinary moment right when I get home. Before this, I had a small habit I never thought twice about. I'd come home still wearing my shoes, walk a few steps in, put my bag down, grab some water, maybe do one more thing. In my head, it was always, it's just a few steps, it's fine. But somehow, my floors were always getting dirty again, even though I felt like I was cleaning pretty often. When I started paying attention to how Japanese households do things, I noticed something simple but very consistent. They stop at the door, literally. When they get home, they pause, take their shoes off, and that's it, no extra steps inside. At first, it felt a little strict to me. Like, do we really need to be that serious about shoes? But once I tried it myself, I realized it wasn't just about cleanliness. After I built the habit of taking my shoes off right at the entrance, the house stayed cleaner, yes, but more than that, I felt different. It was like my body understood. Okay, outside is done. I'm home now. My mind slowed down a bit. And strangely, once I stopped walking around in shoes, I also stopped throwing my stuff everywhere. My bag got put down more intentionally. My jacket didn't end up on a random chair as often. I didn't change anything fancy. No new shoe rack, no redesign. I just made it easy indoor slippers by the door. And one rule for myself when I get home, I stop there. So the first habit I learned from the Japanese isn't about making your home look perfect. It's about making it harder for your home to get messy in the first place. And honestly, it's one of the easiest places to start. And what surprised me is that once I started changing small habits like this at home, I also began noticing how much mental energy we waste over very simple things like buying basic household items. I'll talk more about that in the next video, but for now, let's move on to the second habit. The second habit I learned from the Japanese is called the one-touch rule, and it's actually very simple. It just means when you pick something up, you deal with it right away instead of putting it down for now. I used to do that all the time. Come home, drop my bag on a chair, leave mail on the counter, put a cup next to the sink, and tell myself I'd handle it later. But later never really came, and somehow my place always felt messy, even when I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. When I started paying attention to Japanese homes, I noticed they don't really have this for now habit. They use something, then they put it back. That's it. One touch done. At first, I thought that sounded kind of annoying, like one more thing to remember when I'm already tired, but it actually did the opposite. What was tiring me out wasn't putting things away, it was seeing stuff everywhere and knowing I still had to deal with it. So I started small the same way the Japanese do. Just one thing, my bag. When I got home, I put it away immediately instead of dropping it somewhere. And once that became normal, other things started following without me forcing it. So this second habit isn't about being neat or perfect, it's about not giving mess a chance to start in the first place. And once you feel that difference, it just makes daily life feel lighter. The third habit I picked up from the Japanese is something called the 1-minute rule, and this one really changed how I see cleaning. Basically, if something takes about a minute or less to do, you just do it right away. No planning, no saving it for later. Before this, I had a lot of tiny tasks that I kept postponing because they felt too small to matter. Wiping the table, rinsing the sink, hanging a jacket properly, throwing away a piece of trash. Each thing on its own felt pointless, but somehow they piled up and turned into this big feeling of mess. When I started paying attention to how Japanese households work, I noticed they don't wait for things to become a task. If it's quick, it's done on the spot. And once I tried that myself, I realized how much resistance I had built around small actions. I always thought cleaning had to be a whole thing, like you need time, energy, and the right mood. But with the 1-minute rule, there's no drama. You finish eating, you wipe the table. You brush your teeth, you rinse the sink. It's over before your brain has time to complain. I started applying this rule in really small ways, and it didn't feel like cleaning at all. It felt more like closing tiny open tabs in my head. And that's what I really learned from the Japanese with this habit. They don't let small messes turn into mental clutter. They take care of things while they're still easy. So, habit number 3 isn't about being productive or disciplined. It's about not letting 1 minute turn into 10 later. And once you get used to it, your home just feels lighter, without you ever sitting down to clean. The 4th habit I learned from the Japanese is having a simple 10-minute evening ritual, and this one really surprised me because it has nothing to do with deep cleaning. Before this, my nights were kind of chaotic. I'd finish the day tired, scroll on my phone, go to bed, and tell myself I'd deal with the house tomorrow. Which meant I'd wake up to the same mess and start the day already feeling behind. When I started paying attention to Japanese daily routines, I noticed something small but consistent. Before the day ends, they reset the space just a little. Not perfectly, just enough. So I tried copying that. About 10 minutes before bed, I do a very light reset, nothing fancy. I put things back where they belong. Clear obvious surfaces, maybe rinse the sink or line up the cushions. No scrubbing, no organizing projects. Just closing the day. What surprised me is how much this changed my mornings. I stopped waking up to visual noise. I wasn't immediately annoyed by clutter before I even had coffee. And mentally, it felt like I wasn't carrying yesterday into today. That's what I think the Japanese really understand with this habit. They don't want to start a new day inside yesterday's mess. The ritual isn't about discipline, it's about kindness to your future self. Some nights I only do 5 minutes. Some nights I skip it. But most nights, that small reset makes the house feel calmer and my brain feel quieter. So habit number 4 isn't about cleaning more, it's about ending the day on purpose so tomorrow starts a little lighter. Habit number 5 is something I used to underestimate a lot, doing just 5 minutes a day to keep things in order. I always thought 5 minutes was too short to matter. Like, what can you even fix in 5 minutes? So I'd wait until I had real time, which honestly didn't happen very often. When I started paying attention to how Japanese households maintain their homes, I noticed they don't wait for things to get bad. They treat order like maintenance, not a rescue mission. So I tried it their way. 5 minutes every day, no pressure to do more. Some days I reset the kitchen counter. Some days I put random items back where they belong. Some days it's literally just making the sofa area look normal again. And when the 5 minutes are up, I stop. What surprised me is how much this changed the overall feeling of my home. Because things are touched daily, they never spiral out of control. It doesn't feel like cleaning, it feels like keeping things from slipping. That's what I really learned from the Japanese with this habit. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on rhythm. Even on busy days, 5 minutes feels doable. Even on low energy days, it doesn't feel heavy. So this habit isn't about seeing dramatic results. It's about staying ahead just enough so your home doesn't start working against you. Habit number 6 is about giving everything a fixed home, and this was a big one for me. I used to think my house was messy because I had too much stuff, but honestly, the bigger problem was that a lot of my stuff didn't really live anywhere. Things were just floating. I'd put something down wherever was convenient, and then later wonder why my place always looked a little chaotic. When I started paying attention to Japanese homes, I noticed how rare that feeling was. Even in small spaces, things had very clear spots. Not fancy, not labeled like a store, just clear. So I tried doing the same. I didn't reorganize my whole house. I just started asking one simple question. Where does this belong? If I couldn't answer that easily, that item was basically homeless. And homeless items are the ones that end up on tables, chairs, and floors. I started small, just one category at a time. For example, my keys finally got one spot and only one spot. Same with my bag, my charger, random papers. Once something had a clear home, putting it away suddenly felt easier, almost automatic. And this is what I really learned from the Japanese with this habit. Clutter isn't a cleaning problem, it's a decision problem. When things have a clear address, you don't have to think every time you put them down. You just return them where they belong. This habit didn't make my house look perfect, but it made it feel calmer because nothing was wandering around anymore. And once you feel that difference, you start wanting everything to have a place of its own. Next up, habit number 7 is keeping fewer things and being clear about categories, and this one really changed how I look at clutter. I used to think the problem was that I wasn't organized enough. But when I looked at Japanese homes more closely, I realized something else. They're very clear about what belongs together, and they don't keep extras just in case. When I didn't do this, everything felt mixed together. Random items from different parts of my life ended up in the same drawer, the same shelf, the same corner. And that made the space feel noisy, even if it wasn't technically messy. So I tried doing it the Japanese way, fewer items grouped by category. Not all at once, just one category at a time. Clothes with clothes, papers with papers, kitchen tools with kitchen tools. And once I could actually see how much I had in each category, it became obvious what I didn't really need. I didn't have to force myself to declutter. Keeping less just made sense. What I like about this habit is that it removes a lot of confusion. When categories are clear, your brain relaxes. You're not constantly wondering where things go or why a space feels off. This is something I really learned from Japanese homes. Clarity comes from simplicity, not from perfect organization. And once you reduce the amount and keep things clearly grouped, the house almost organizes itself. Let's move on to the next habit. Habit number 8 is using vertical storage instead of letting everything spread out across flat surfaces. This one took me a while to understand because for the longest time I blamed my home for feeling small. I thought I just didn't have enough space. But after watching how people live in Japan, especially in really small apartments, I realized the space itself wasn't the problem. The way I was using it was. Before this, most of my things lived horizontally. Stuff sat on counters, tables, chairs, even the floor. Whenever I ran out of room, I'd push things outward or stack them on top of each other. And even when everything was technically clean, the house still felt crowded. My eyes had nowhere to rest. In Japanese homes, I noticed they treat flat surfaces differently. Counters and floors stay as clear as possible, and items are stored upward instead on walls, behind doors, inside cabinets, or standing vertically. When I started applying habit number 8, I didn't rush to buy shelves or organizers. I just paid attention to what was taking up surface space without a good reason. My bag didn't need to live on a chair. Cleaning tools didn't need to lean against the wall. Cutting boards didn't need to lie flat. Once I started hanging things or storing them upright, the space felt calmer almost immediately. Not bigger, but lighter. What I really learned from the Japanese with this habit is that vertical storage isn't about squeezing more stuff into your home. It's about protecting visual space. When your floors and counters stay open, your brain relaxes. I also learned to go slow. If you go vertical too fast, things can look busy and overwhelming. But when you do it after reducing and grouping items, it works with your space instead of against it. So habit number 8 isn't about organization hacks. It's about changing how you see space and letting your home breathe again. Next up. Habit number 9 is keeping the bathroom really clean, and this is something I learned very clearly from watching how people live in Japan. In Japanese homes, the bathroom isn't treated like the place you ignore until it becomes a problem. It's treated almost like a space that needs quiet, regular care. Before this, my bathroom was usually the last thing on my mind. As long as it wasn't obviously dirty, I'd leave it alone and focus on other areas. But what I didn't realize was how much a slightly messy bathroom affected how I felt about my entire home. Even when everything else looked okay, that one space made the house feel unfinished. When I started copying the Japanese approach, I stopped thinking of bathroom cleaning as something I had to schedule. I didn't wait for it to get bad. I started doing very small things without thinking too much about it. After washing my hands, I'd quickly rinse the sink. After a shower, I'd wipe water off the surfaces. If something looked off, I fixed it right away instead of telling myself I'd do it later. None of this took more than a minute or two, but it made a huge difference over time. What surprised me the most was how this habit affected the rest of my home. When the bathroom stayed clean, it kind of raised the standard for everything else. I naturally wanted the kitchen and living area to feel just as calm. That's what I think the Japanese really understand with this habit. The bathroom quietly sets the tone. If that space is clean, your whole home feels more taken care of. So habit number 9 isn't about scrubbing all the time or being obsessive. It's about not letting one small space slowly bring down the feeling of your entire home. Once you experience that difference, it's surprisingly motivating to keep it up. Next on our list. Habit number 10 is sorting trash responsibly. And this is one of those things I didn't expect to affect my home as much as it did. When I first learned about how seriously people in Japan take trash sorting, I honestly thought it sounded inconvenient. Too many rules, too many categories, too much thinking for something you're just going to throw away. Before this, trash in my house was very simple. Everything went into one bag, and I dealt with it when it was full. But what I didn't realize was how that habit made trash pile up faster and linger longer in my space. When I started paying attention to Japanese homes, I noticed they don't let trash hang around. Because things are sorted, recyclables, burnables, food waste. Each type has a clear place and a clear rhythm of when it leaves the house. So I tried applying that mindset not perfectly but realistically. I set up very simple categories that made sense for my life, nothing complicated. And once I did that, something interesting happened. Trash stopped feeling like this annoying, messy thing that built up over time. Food waste went out more often. Packaging didn't pile up on the counter. I became more aware of what I was bringing into the house in the first place. What I really learned from the Japanese with this habit is that sorting trash isn't just about being environmentally responsible, it's about reducing clutter at the source. When you know where things go, you don't let them sit around. And when you see how much waste you create, you naturally become more mindful. Habit number 10 isn't about following strict rules or doing everything perfectly. It's about not letting trash quietly take over your space and your attention. Once trash has a clear system, your home feels cleaner, lighter, and more intentional without any extra cleaning. The final habit is doing a seasonal reset for your home. Before this, I always thought deep cleaning meant one exhausting day where you scrub everything and feel completely worn out afterward. So I either avoided it or waited until things got really bad. But after learning from how Japanese households approach this, I realized it doesn't have to be that extreme. When I tried this habit, I didn't clean the whole house at once. I picked one season and one area, and I slowed down. I opened drawers I normally ignore, looked at items I hadn't touched in months, and asked myself if they still made sense in my life right now. And that's when I noticed how much stuff I was keeping without any real reason. What I really like about the Japanese mindset here is that this kind of reset isn't rushed or stressful. It's not about cleaning because you feel guilty or behind. It's about intentionally clearing space so the next season feels lighter. When I finished, my home didn't just look cleaner, it felt calmer, like it had room to breathe again. So this last habit isn't about cleaning more or doing things perfectly. It's about choosing once in a while to pause, let go, and reset your space on purpose. And doing that regularly is what keeps a home from slowly filling up again over time. So that's it for today. Those are the habits that really changed how I think about keeping my home clean and calm, not by doing more, but by changing a few small things in how I live day to day. None of them are about perfection, and honestly, you don't need to do all of them. Even picking one or two that fit your life can already make a difference. In the next video, I'll be talking about why something as simple as buying a trash can now takes way too much time, too many comparisons, and way too much mental energy, and how this obsession with finding the best one quietly adds to our clutter and stress. So make sure to stay tuned for that one. If this video was helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.